Welcome to the SwimSwam podcast. I'm your host, Coleman Hodges. I'm here with Calypso McDonald. Calypso, how are you doing today?
I'm good, thanks. Thank you for having me. I've been really worried about how swimming and everything is going to pan out with COVID and the Olympics coming up next year. But over here in Australia, we've started kind of getting back into the swing of things. So exciting times.
Yeah, I know we've, in the US and Australia both, we've seen kind of pools slowly, figuratively dipping their toes back in, kind of reopening at a pretty slow rate. What's your current situation with swimming training, dry land training?
Right, so Swimming Australia has just reopened key pools in each state so that we can, at least some of the long list swimmers can start to get back in the water and kind of get back into the swimming shape that you need. Obviously, we've been doing lots of dry land, but that kind of doesn't compare the kind of cardio and aerobic work you get in the pool. Other pools are allowed to open, but obviously that is the discretion of the owners of the pool. So the pool I swim at is a school pool, and they're prioritizing getting their students back into the pool and swimming first before they reopen to the club team. But we're looking forward to having that open soon because it's going really well over here in Australia.
Yeah, nice. So how has your, you had to go back to Australia at some point. What has your, kind of since March, I guess, what has your quarantine period looked like?
Right, so at first, obviously we were going to be heading to NCs, and I think about 5 days out we heard the news. All our flights got cancelled, and about 2 days later I was on a flight to San Francisco with my teammate Mallory, and so I stayed there for about 2 or 3 weeks, and we just went hiking. Everything was closed. We hiked around San Francisco, which was awesome. Got a lot of exercise in. Our team was just starting to introduce some Zoom workouts and get back into the swing of things. And then I felt really bad staying with her. I didn't want to impose, so I decided to go back to Evanston, where I have an apartment. And then I got there, it was super empty. I was like, wow, I don't want to be in this freezing cold city all by myself. So I made the decision to come back to Australia. And the only issue was I had to spend 2 weeks in a hotel quarantine, it really dragged. It was quite boring. So all I did day and night was wake up really early to kind of get on that Chicago time schedule to do my classes and study. And then I'd wake up and do workouts with my Australian swim team over Zoom. So we had cardio workouts, ab workouts, like glute workouts, which was really good at kind of keeping me distracted from the fact that I was locked in a four-walled room with nowhere else to go. The food was really good, surprisingly, because I'd heard some bad things before coming, but we got bento boxes and Aussie meat pies, which was very exciting. It's been a long while. But yeah, it wasn't a bad experience. Now I'm just back at home with my family, looking forward to being able to train again.
Sure. And so since being home, every swimmer has kind of approached this differently. Some running, some biking, some combination. What has your training outside of the pool looked like?
Right. Yes. So every day we have Zoom workouts in the morning and the evening. In the morning we either have one or two, and it'll be cardio and some form of so it'll be like kind of cardio, like exercise bodyweight cardio, and we'll either have running or abs or some form of that. And in the afternoons we usually have a bike. I don't have a bike, so I've been going for runs, or we have some other kind of cardio. And then in the middle of the days right now we're able to get to the pool and swim. But I also really like hiking, so I've been going on a lot of hikes, and I've also decided to pick up longboarding, so I've been practicing my downhill longboarding. But yeah, I had to get some protective equipment because I kept on falling off, but very exciting.
Yeah. So speaking of hikes, let's go back to San Francisco for a bit. Had you ever been there before?
Yes. So last year through Northwestern, we have a kind of academic program called IMAP, which is sponsored by David Cabela. And so I kind of got the opportunity to spend a couple of days with a small startup in San Francisco. and kind of see what it was like and get a kind of internship experience. You obviously find it hard to get when you're swimming every summer. So that was really cool. But I hadn't been able to see the sights or go hiking during that period of time. So I was really excited to get this kind of a good thing out of the whole pandemic. Yeah.
Definitely. Give me your highlights on that 3 weeks in San Francisco.
Right. Okay. Well, obviously there's the boba, because there's like a really good kind of like, yeah, my friend's part Korean, and so she knew all the best places to go. And so we got the boba there, and it was incredible. And since coming back here, I've tried some, and it's really, really bad. Don't go to Australia for international cuisine. It's not the best. And then we also went on a hike to Muir Woods. So it was actually closed, but we ended up hiking from somewhere else. We're doing this Dipsy Trail, which is a kind of run. It's like 40 kilometers. We obviously only did a part of it, but that people do every year, and they go from like the dip to the sea, so like this cafe by the sea. And so we're on that, and somehow we ended up in Muir Woods, but it was like a back entrance, so it wasn't closed. And so I get to say I visited a national park, even though obviously they were all closed to that point in time. Yeah. And then my second highlight would also be I got to drive part of Highway 1. We went up to Bodega Bay as her brother's friend had a place up there, and we got to stay up there for a little. And so Highway 1 was incredible. Yeah. So I'm really looking forward to being able to do more of that when I go back to America. Yeah.
I don't know. In the last week, I've gotten really into Harry Styles. I don't know if you're a fan.
It's been a while.
But the first song on his new album he describes as like the perfect PCH song, which is the Pacific Coastal Highway, which is Highway 1. But yeah, that's such a pretty drive. That's really,
it was incredible.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
So you spent 2 weeks in a hotel room after that. Were you able to leave at all, or did you have to like strictly get room service? Could you go to the grocery store? Could you go, on a walk?
So we couldn't leave the hotel at all. We were allowed 15 to 20 minutes outside each day, accompanied by police in this courtyard. So I got some running in then, and I got to do some outdoor exercise. But yeah, apart from that, no, it was very strict, which it sucks, but I think Australia's doing a really good job of managing it. So I think it's necessary.
Sure. Do you think, I would agree with that, that seems like a necessary precaution, especially in conditions like this. Do you think that was taxing on you mentally at all?
Yeah, a little. It was rough not being able to talk to anyone or see like all the people that I knew were kind of out here in Australia that I hadn't seen in 3 years, kind of waiting to hang out with them. But I think having school during that period of time, because we just started, was really helpful and definitely kind of helped focus my mind. Also, my coach over here, Lushy, letting me hop in on the Zoom workouts for his club team was really helpful, as otherwise, obviously, it's a bit hard to work out by yourself, especially when you're trapped in a room and have to stare at 4 walls every day.
Yeah, absolutely. So once you did get out of that 2-week quarantine period, who were some of the people that you were really excited to see and got to see?
Right. Yeah. So firstly, I think it was my teammate. We've been on a team. We've been on Australian teams together, and also we've trained together for about 5 years, I think, at least. So Minna Atherton. Yeah. So I would go over to her house and we'd do some workouts together. And we also recently got on a Swimming Australia long list call where we all made brownies over Zoom. And so that was really exciting. Nice. Yeah. So we had like, it had been a while since I'd seen her. I seen her obviously at trials last year. But it's nice to be able to be back in the same city and to hang out with someone like who's just focused and excited about swimming in the next couple of years as I am.
Yeah. Did you guys do anything notable in the workouts? I saw on social media you had a pretty funny pool setup.
Oh yeah. So Minna has a pool on top of her apartment in the city. And so we were there. It was freezing cold. That was the first time I got in the pool in 6 weeks because I hadn't had access to one, because obviously all the outdoor pools in Chicago are freezing, and none of them, I don't think there are any outdoor pools, to be honest. Yeah, so that was the first time I got in, and we were on the tether. So we were doing like, Minna had invited me over as she'd made her own workout, which is pretty exciting. Which just kind of consists of like plyometrics, body weight, and some weighted exercises with the med balls. And also getting in the pool, which was freezing cold, and we both kind of dreaded. She made me get in first, but yeah, it was a lot of fun. Yeah, good way to get back into it.
So Minna, in the last year, I think, broke a world record at ISL. Right. Did you guys kind of compare experiences from the ISL to college swimming? Because, you know, in a lot of ways that they're pretty similar.
Right. So I don't know so I did ask her about it, and like from what I'd heard with other people, like I think we had so another girl from the team that Minna's ISL team trained with us at some point at Northwestern. I forget who it was at the moment. But yeah, so obviously it's something that kind of just stands out. Like I didn't need to talk to her about it. You can kind of see the similarities in the fact that like their teams, they travel, they compete, you know, like the people who do the best get to go to a one final kind of championship. And she told me she'd enjoyed ISL like a lot, and it was an awesome experience. And I was like, oh, I should have gone to college. But yeah, no, I'm a big proponent for college swimming. Obviously it's not right for everyone, but I think that in a country like Australia, where it's really hard to kind of get opportunities if you're not in the top 3 consistently once you're over 18, it's an awesome experience, and it really encourages people to stay in the sport, which is something, a kind of engagement that we might lack a bit in Australia.
Yeah. Did you ever try to convince her to swim in college?
No, she was having such a good time in Australia and like making the teams that obviously like if you're going to be up there and you're going to be on these teams with other Australians, like your teammates, you have those really close bonds. And I think that can be somewhat akin to being at college, though obviously sometimes it can lack the academic support and everything else you get with going to the US.
Yeah. So speaking of college, it was just announced today that Jeremy Kipp is heading to USC to be their head coach. I know you told me you did hear the news before this. Do you think that will affect your plan moving forward at all?
I don't think so, but obviously everything is up in the air with Corona at the moment, so it's kind of hard to tell what the next NCAA season will be like, and what my preparation going into Olympics next year will also be like. Obviously, as soon as we heard as a team that Kip was being contacted by USC, it's obviously like one of his dream jobs, so there's no hard feelings. We're really excited to kind of see what our athletic director, Dr. Phillips, will be looking for in a new coach, because he did an amazing job last time with Kip, and he's like an athletic director which really makes Northwestern amazing. Like it's kind of strange that someone who's so far like above you can make such a difference, but whenever he like talks to us, he really makes us feel like he cares, and he really listened to us for like I think 3 hours last time when we were talking about what we wanted from a coach, and he ended up with Kip. So yeah, so I think our whole team's really excited to kind of see what happens next, and really happy that Kip kind of gets to fulfill his dream, because you know when something comes up you have to take it. You don't want to kind of live with regrets. Yeah,
absolutely. And that's so heartwarming for me to hear, because I think you know, being you know, obviously he coached at USC before, and that seemed like a dream job for him, but I think the swimming community was also sad because they were so excited that Northwestern was kind of on the rise with Jeremy and seemingly doing well. And it's very cool to hear that you have an athletic director who, you know, you're confident will try to bring you guys someone who's just as good and passionate and can do well for that Northwestern team.
Yeah.
That's super cool. So, speaking of plans moving forward, do you even have a set plan for the next month, the next week?
So obviously, yeah, for the next month and the next week, yes, I'm going to be over here in Australia with my home coach, David Lush, and
Mhm.
Minna. And I think we also have Maddie Groves now as well. And
Nice.
so we're going to be training. I'm working towards getting back into shape in a safe way that obviously doesn't harm our bodies, because I think I've been on the pool for about 2 months. And I think that's more time in the last 8 years combined, which is pretty crazy when you think about it. So yeah, I've just been really focusing on, the shoulder health, obviously, as that's a really big concern in swimmers, and just making sure we get back into the pool in a safe way. So that's my plan for the next month. And then going forward, it's kind of hard to define what my plan is for the next school year or the next quarter, especially as Australia currently has an indefinite ban on overseas travel. So I'm hoping that I would be able to go back to America, as I have to move out of my apartment into my new apartment in Evanston. And that's obviously going to be hard to do if I can't leave the country. So yeah, I'm just kind of watching the news, seeing what unfolds, and hoping everyone over here behaves so that we get those restrictions eased a little bit more.
Behave, everyone.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, I heard something funny on the news the other day in Australia, because everyone quite takes they make such jokes on the news, and they were telling it was a New South Wales radio station, so I'm in Queensland. It was a New South Wales radio station, and they were like, "Oh, over the weekend we heard news that like Queenslanders were on Mount Nebo, and they had to like issue like 300 fines. Northwest New South Wales is better. Don't do that. Don't be like those Queenslanders." So yeah, the news people are having a great time taking it out of us, but it's been good.
That interesting side point. I've heard Queensland is the place to be in Australia. Would you
Yes,
agree?
100%. Yes.
What
Yeah.
what makes it so
Yeah.
great?
Well, I think when people think of Australia, they firstly think of Sydney, just
Mhm.
because, it's where everyone does the sightseeing, everything. But Sydney is massive and the traffic's terrible and it's all very touristy. Like in Queensland, obviously you can't at the moment, but if everyone kind of protects it, we have the Great Barrier Reef. We also have islands off the coast, such as like Stradbroke and Fraser Island, which are beautiful. Far
Mhm.
North Queensland has like amazing valleys and mountains, which I'd love to go up and see. And then, yeah, we have South Bank. The city is also incredibly beautiful. I have some really pretty pictures from there. And South Bank's like a big kind of hit down there. It's kind of like a beach they've made like alongside the river, which is pretty incredible. So I think Brisbane's kind of just more of an authentic Australian experience, because you have the beaches on the north and south coast. Obviously, Surfers Paradise is really popular, but I love the Sunshine Coast better, because I grew up there with my grandmother a lot when I was younger. Yeah, I just think it's a more Aussie experience, very laid back, and it's got everything you need without the hassle of traffic and everything.
That's yeah. That I was during the ISL season. I was talking to Clyde Lewis, Jack McLaughlin, and
Right.
they really sold me on Queensland. They basically told me what you told me, and it's like, yeah, that sounds pretty prime.
Yeah, I think I was some junior teams with them back in the day, 2015 Junior Worlds.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
they're good guys.
So let's talk about your junior career, because I think as Americans, we've seen you rise at Northwestern and really become an NCAA force, but I personally don't know a lot about your background and kind of what you did in swimming before coming to Northwestern.
Right. So I think I made my first Australian team in 2013, and we went to Japan for the Junior Olympic Cup, which
Mhm.
it sounds like it was a big thing. It was just Australia and Japan. I think they like putting cool names and everything. It was really awesome because obviously at that point in time, Japan was kind of egging for the 2020 Olympics. So we got to stay in a 4-star hotel, or I think it was maybe to kind of support them in their bid. So that was really exciting. We got, little dumplings every day breakfast and little dim sum, which was really cool. And we had a bidet, which is quite terrifying at 14 years old. I was the youngest on the team, and I was like, wow, what is this kind of toilet? But yeah, that was my first international experience. I was pretty exciting. I made some finals. I think I was in the 400 IM, and we also had a relay team where I had to swim freestyle, which was an experience. We didn't have enough. We only had 4 girls, so I had to do some freestyle. And at that point, I was very much not into it. And then in 2015, I made the Junior World Championships and the Commonwealth Youth Games. And so I missed out on the 200 breaststroke final at Junior Worlds by, I think it was about half a second. And I was sitting in the marshalling room as first reserve going, I hope no one shows up. But obviously I did. It was still an amazing experience. I got to a lot of events at that. And we found the mascot costume secretly hidden away in a side door. And we put it on and we took photos in it. And then we had to take it down from social media because they were like, yeah, you can't just dress up in a mascot costume, which is classic Australia. But
you can't just dress up in mascot costumes.
And then I went to Commonwealth Youth Games in Samoa, which was my favorite place. Samoa is absolutely incredible. It's like a developing country, but it's so beautiful. Like there's just like dogs and cats like running around everywhere. The beaches are very nice and non-polluted, and everything's just very lush and green. So I really enjoyed that trip, and that was my first international medal. I won the 400 IM, came third in the 200 breaststroke, and came second to my teammate in the 200 IM.
And
so that was really exciting. That was Commonwealth Youth Games.
Okay.
Yeah. So we had South Africa and some teams from Great Britain. And I made some, lifelong friends from that who I still keep in contact with. So I raced Kayleen Corbett from South Africa. And she taught me what a knob was. So that was really fun. But yeah.
Nice. So did you ever have a point when you were really down on swimming or you didn't think it would take you to where you're at now?
Right. So that was also obviously an awesome year. And when I competed in 2015, I was 16 years old. And in Australia, you can only compete on a junior team if you aren't turning 18 in that year. So 16 was the last age I got to compete as a junior because I was turning 17 on the 28th of December. And then the next year I was going to be 18. So 3 days too early. So obviously that was kind of a big thing to be like thrown into open competition at age 16 or when I turned 17. I wasn't able to compete as a junior anymore, which is obviously like, and then there's like nothing really else for you in Australia. So I went down to the AIS, the Australian Institute of Sport, and I spent 6 months there. Studying and swimming at the AIS and working there. And while I was there, I was like, wow, this isn't for me because obviously swimming has kind of been a bit more spread out in Australia right now. We have our podium centres instead of just AIS. So there weren't a heap of people at the AIS. I didn't have a lot of teammates and I wasn't super keen on that whole idea. So while I was down at the AIS, I was like, hey, like Swimming Australia isn't a huge proponent of this, but I think I would like to go to college in America. And so I talked to my home coach here and he was like, yeah, I'd hate to lose you, mate, but like I think it's a good idea for you. And so I started talking to people. Obviously, I reached out to Wisconsin because I know there's a lot of Australians who've gone there. And one of my teammates is there currently, Isabelle Lamprey. She was from a club team over here as well. So I reached out and I decided that I was kind of really excited about the fact that I'd be able to swim and study and kind of have it all, because where I was at in Australia, I wasn't able to like work to support myself, swim and study. And so I think that's something that's a lot more manageable in the US. So I reckon if I hadn't gone to college, I wouldn't be swimming right now.
That's really awesome that you made that leap and you are still swimming.
Yeah.
And so do you have a favorite memory from swimming or a favorite race that you've had since coming here to the US?
Right. I think most recently, what kind of stands out to me, obviously, because it's very fresh in my mind, is Big Ten championships. We swum the 200 freestyle relay. And so that was really special to me because I have always hated freestyle. I've never wanted to swim freestyle. I've been like pretty bad at it. But this year, Kip was like, Calypso, you can do underwaters, you can sprint. We need you on our freestyle relay teams. And I was like, no way. But I trust him and I believe in him. So I was like, okay, I'll give it a go. And so it's just really awesome to kind of see that, you know, like with his belief and like with hard work, that you kind of can, you know, do what you set your mind to, and you're not really restricted to those couple of strokes like you always thought you were going to do, which is really exciting. And obviously we made the B cut in that, and so we were going to have been going to NCs for that, which is really, again, really exciting because we had two seniors on that relay. And so that would have been really special for them, as that was the first time they had made NCs. Yeah, so that was pretty special.
Yeah. So, kind of looking forward a little bit, and you know, who knows if you do have an answer to this, but have you kind of thought about how what you want to do after you are done with your collegiate career, both swimming and education wise?
Right. So I obviously, and with coronavirus, everything's even more up in the air.
Sure.
But I think I would love, from what I've heard, to be part of an ISL team that has the same kind of camaraderie and team experience that we have at college. And obviously that's something that I'm really excited for when I leave college. But yeah, so I don't know. It's just all up in the air. Depends what opportunities I get when I leave. And where my life is at. I think I want to become a fighter pilot in the Air Force. Obviously, I love what I'm doing. I'm doing computer science, and I love it, and I'm not bad at it. But I really want to just make active, and so that's something like I'm kind of mulling over in my mind. But yeah, it just depends what opportunities I have, and where they are. I love my club team over here, so it depends. I'm sure he can convince me. Lushy can convince me to keep on swimming for a little bit over here in Australia. But yeah, it just depends what comes into my path.
The Air Force, how did that come into your line of sight?
Right. Well, obviously when I went to college, I realized I really loved the kind of team atmosphere, having a group of people who are all driven, motivated, and in pursuit of the same goal as me. And obviously that's not a kind of experience you get a whole lot in your life. It's like sometimes you'll have it to a small extent, but I loved the kind of overwhelming kind of team drive that we have at Northwestern and in the US. And so obviously I felt that was something that you could have in like the Army or the Air Force. And since I was little, I've always kind of wanted to fly planes. So that's something that kind of is on my horizon and I'm looking forward to, but definitely not set in stone, just something that based on my previous experiences, I think I would find really rewarding.
Yeah. Well, awesome. Thank you so much for your time, Calypso.
No worries. Thank you for talking to me.
Yeah, absolutely.